Hello and welcome to episode 31 of On the Bench. On the Bench is the world's only podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers. So if you build aircraft, ships, armour, cars, science fiction subjects, figures, this is the podcast for you. On the Bench is a fortnightly podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, and all good podcast apps. Don't forget to mark us as your favourite so you never miss a show. And while you're there, leave a rating. That just helps other people find the show as well. If you want to get in contact with us, we'd love to hear from you. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. Firstly, you can send us an email at onthebench64@gmail.com. Alternatively, just pop in the words On the Bench into Facebook and that'll take you directly to our page. And hello and welcome to On the Bench, and in the studio for episode 31 I've got Ian. G'day Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day listeners.
And Julian.
Good evening.
So guys, what's been happening since the last episode? What have you guys been up to?
Myself, I had a week off work, so I spent a week working on my new Hasegawa 350 scale Shimakaze, Japanese heavy destroyer.
Lovely.
Spent a whole week doing nothing but photo etch.
Oh,
And I'm not even halfway through.
oh no.
Yeah, yeah. I got one of those Infinity detail sets.
Yep.
It's just so many pieces.
I can
I mean,
imagine.
so many little pieces, and they're tiny, absolutely tiny.
So what year are you actually doing your destroyer in?
44.
1944, so it's going to have a lot of anti-aircraft guns on it?
Yep. Yeah, it's got the the triple AA gun mounts and single mounts all around the place.
Any purchases since the last episode?
Yeah, I got the it's an older kit, the Tamiya 350 scale Megami, early war.
Oh, very, very nice.
Heavy Japanese cruiser.
That'll just fall together being a
Tamiya kit.
Tamiya kit.
Yeah, but then I went silly and bought another aftermarket set for it.
Of course you did.
I just can't help myself.
So I bet the aftermarket set costs more than the actual kit itself.
No.
Oh, really? It's
No,
a surprise?
Yeah. Well, the kit was only was about 160 for the kit. And the aftermarket set, I think, was about 90.
Oh, just a cheap aftermarket set.
Yeah.
Wow. What about you, Julian?
A lot of things going on. I've been pretty busy lately.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if I finished it by last episode, but I believe I finished the Dyna Interceptor.
Oh, you have finished it. Good.
Yeah. So I've got that. That's completely done. I am almost done with my N1K2 George.
Cool.
That's the late version with the lower wings.
Yep.
Right. There's just a few things I just need to matte coat it, washes, some other things like that, and I wasn't too happy with the landing gear doors though, because there's like 3 pieces that go on the landing gear.
Yep.
And there's a middle piece that sort of sticks out at an angle, but it's supposed at the top of it's supposed to be in line with the top piece.
Yep.
But instead, it doesn't go that way. Because the part's too thick, and
you need photo etch.
Yeah, exactly.
Gear
You
doors.
really do need photo etch.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
what about white metal? You can get aftermarket white metal landing gear for it?
Oh, no, it's not the landing gear that's the issue. It's the covers.
The
The
doors.
doors. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because there's like I said, there's 3 pieces, and
Yep.
the middle one that's sort of like it sort of hangs off on an angle so that when the oleo is going up and down, compressed and up and down kind of thing, it doesn't get in the way, and it doesn't look as it should. On the 32nd scale kit, it does. Yep. But in 48, that's just too thick. And I'm a long way through a lot of the construction on my Pete. So I've got the fuselage together. I've got the lower wing on. Can't put the upper wing on until it's all painted.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm just sort of I did buy a masking set for it from, is it Resim or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Resin Improvement, and it's the wrong one. You open it up and it's got the mask set for a 0. And
It's in the wrong package.
Yeah, and if you look online, every photo of that set has the exact same mask that I received in it. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but I would stay away from it if you're going after that, because you're probably not going to get what you want.
Yep, understand.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to use the decals. Maybe I'll spray the Hinamaroos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a nice circle cutter now.
I better say get a circle cutter.
Did you get one of those?
Yeah, I got one too.
Yeah. You seen their new one they've brought out?
They got a new one?
A new toy they've brought out.
What have they got?
The new one, it's for doing cyanide glues. Super glues.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, it comes with tiny little applicators and these little metal domes you can put your drop of super glue on. And
Oh.
Serious? What? One time use and throw it away, or
No. You just get a flame on it, and burn the glue
Is
off
this like the kind of thing where it's like a tool that goes in your X-Acto knife blade, and it's a little loop on the end? No,
it's just like looks like a little tiny little sort of like a tongue depressor, but with like a little cut down the end of it.
I've seen them before. You can get them in like a photo etch style.
Yeah, and they are photo etch, but the actual is typical Despero or Despara, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
no one can pronounce their name. Yeah. One day we'll find out how it's pronounced.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's all like cast metal box it sits on, and it's got these little removable chrome metal domes on it, and these domes is what you put your super glue on. Then you just use these little applicators, these photo etch applicators, and pop your little tiny bits of glue, and they're all different sizes too, so you can regulate how much glue you're going to be using.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I know I've been using with doing the photo etch on this Japanese destroyer. I've been using a little bit of fuse wire.
Yes, what I normally use. Yeah,
tiny bit of fuse wire.
Either that or a toothpick. But the trouble with toothpick is
you can pick up too much.
Well, there's that, but you got to wait for it to soak in as well before you can sort of get the build up on the end. So
exactly,
I prefer to use fuse wire.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm interested in this new one.
See, I'm not that deep into photo etch yet to go in for these extra.
You'll get there.
Extra measures.
You'll get there.
Oh, I'm sure I will, because I do have a boat to do.
You got Lexington.
Yeah, I got a boat to do.
That's not a boat. That's a ship.
Oh, whatever.
That's a carrier.
It's in the water. I won't go as far as calling my Pete a boat. Otherwise,
you know what? Technically, when they land on water, they do become a boat.
Okay.
And this is true. So if you're a seaplane pilot, not only do you have to have your license to fly the aircraft, but you also have to have your license to operate a vessel on water.
Okay, yeah.
Because you have to understand
I get
all the markers and everything when you're at sea.
And who is right away.
All that sort of stuff, yeah. So you got to pass port to port. All that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Unless you're... And going out to sea... You have to have the markers on your starboard side. I think unless you're in the US, it's on the other side, on your port side when you're going out. Right. I think because the US is slightly different to the rest of the world when it comes to that sort of stuff. But there you go.
So what about you, Dave? What have you been up to?
I've been crazily building. I've got my USS Benson well underway now, so the hull's all done.
And that's the Dragon kit?
Correct. Yep. And it's going together reasonably nicely. I had a bit of work to do on the hull. So I've painted the boot line, the boot topping I should say, the hull red, and done the camouflage on top. And so now I've just got to work on top of the actual deck, and I'll paint that. It's the typical sort of sea blue that the US Navy used at that stage of the war. It's going to be its 44 configuration. And at the same time, seeing I'm using similar paints, I'm also building my USS Independence as well. So that's coming along nicely.
Cool. There'll be a lot of work in that one.
Yeah, there is a bit. So the hull's all finished and just about finally finished painting of that. I've done the anti-foul red and I've done the boot topping. So I've just got to do the blue that goes on the side of it.
Yep.
And then I've got to put the aircraft hangers on. I'm going to have it closed up. I'm not a big fan of having them open unless you've got them lit with LEDs, which I don't really want to do for a World War II ship.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I started another little Chinese catamaran thingamy-bob, modern day one. It's from Orange Hobby, made out of resin.
Yep.
And been working away on that, so that gives me something to do while the paint's drying on the other two. But I've got to stop doing this. I've got so many kits on the go. Let me see. I've got 2 ships that are in the Shelf of Doom. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other ships on the build in the dockyard.
Yep.
I've got a tank that still needs to be painted.
Yeah, you still haven't done that. You got to finish that off.
I know, but I can't decide what sort of scheme to paint it, so I'm sort of stuck.
Why don't you just paint it a Dunkelgelb yellow, and then if you want to, you can always put another colour over it. Otherwise, you can just leave it as is.
And you got to do the undercoat as well, so the oxide sort of red, that sort of.
Do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
have a bit
something
coming
like that.
through.
Something like a 46 style Panzer. Yeah, it needs the oxide red.
The only thing that's holding me back is really what colour to paint the tracks. That's what
Steel.
Yeah, but you don't want sort of bright, shiny steel.
No, you don't want to put them rusty either.
No, I don't want to do them
That's
rusty.
the big no-no.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the big no-no. A lot
Yep.
of people make that mistake by rusting up their tank tracks. And
Correct.
It's like, well, the only way they get rusty if it sits there for about a year.
Or you got a crew who aren't doing their job properly.
Well, even then, it wouldn't be. As soon as the thing starts moving, it's going to
Yeah.
clean the rust off.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like even if you're going to do it rusty, you should at least all do the guide pins in the
Yep.
middle of the
Yep.
tracks. You should do all those
Clean.
in a clean, shiny
Correct.
metal color.
Yep.
And also the contact areas
Correct.
where
That's
it contacts the road.
That's what HB pencils are for, so you get the right
Yes,
sort of
HB
sheen.
pencil's
Yep.
good.
Good old HB pencil. Can't go wrong.
So that's pretty much kept me occupied really for the last 2 weeks. It's just
Cool.
been, and I've really gotten the groove this week. So I get home and put a solid couple of hours in the build room, and then go and join the missus on the couch to watch TV. But I've been doing a solid 2 hours sort of every night, so really sort of starting to move along.
Oh,
so.
I was that deep into it last week that I'd make myself lunch and then go back to the bench, and then 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon I go, geez, I'm hungry. Go back in the kitchen, there's my lunch sitting there.
Oh, no.
Totally forgotten about it.
Was it like a sandwich? You could still eat it?
No, it was one of those little noodle cup things. And those things are terrible cold and you can't reheat them.
No, just chuck it away.
No, let's give it to the birds.
At least it wasn't an expensive lunch.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Happened 3 times in a row.
Really, 3 times.
3 times in a row. I totally forgot to eat me lunch.
Well, all right, let's move on. We've got some listener mail that I've got to deal with, so we'll
good.
get right into that next. And the first listener mail we've got is from Kevin Futter. Sorry, Kevin, for mispronouncing that wrong.
F-U-T-T-E-R?
Yeah.
That'd be Futter.
Okay. G'day, Kevin, and thanks for writing in. And Kevin says, G'day, chaps. Just discovered the podcast and just finished listening to episode 29. I just wanted to clarify a non-modelling point if I could. Henry Cavill didn't shave his facial hair off for Justice League, as he had already begun filming the latest Mission Impossible flick when he was called back to do some reshoots for it. As the studio wouldn't allow him to shave for those reshoots, so they had to actually digitally remove his facial hair to reshoot that footage. So there you go. We're talking about episode. We're talking about that.
Oh, I believe we were talking about like movies and CGI and
Yeah, we
realism
were.
for war movies, and
That's right. I think it might have been about episode 26 or 27.
and
or
I
something
believe
like
I
that.
made the point that
You did make the point.
If they can CGI someone's face, they could CGI a plane or a tank or something.
Yes.
True. Next up, Robert Madden writes in and he says, G'day, fellas. You are correct in saying that slanted music, translated as slanted music, says Shraj music. I put Shraj music through Google Translate and it came up as slope, bevel, slant, oblique. However, Ian is also correct, as the Germans at the time referred to jazz as slanted music.
Yes.
So I guess because it sounded a bit out of kilter to them. Well, not just them. Jazz music sounds out of kilter to me as well. So there you go.
Well, it'd be a lot different to the German Oompa music they listened to at the time.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, And last episode, I mistakenly said that Ray Davies was from North America. This is not correct. Ray Davies does not have joint citizenship between the US and Australia. Ray's actually from Australia. So my apologies, Ray, for saying that. Ray, if you remember when we asked about some modelling tips, he wrote in about Dettol, and you had that gets...
yes.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good tip, that one.
Ray, you're released from your dual citizenship, and you are now officially an Aussie again.
You can now run for office.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, because there's controversies in the Australian media about
Oh yes, absolutely. Can be senator.
politicians
yeah,
who have dual
yes,
citizenship.
yes. Very good. All right, that's it for listener mail. So I think we might move right ahead and have a chat about what's new in the modelling world, and also we've got some great products in the studio to have a look at and have a talk about. And one of our studio members even has a bit of insight. And no, I'm going to leave it there. We'll talk about it when we get back to it. So back shortly. And we're back with what's new in the modelling world. And first, cab off the rank, we have some news from Takem. Some new Panzer models. They've announced they're going to be doing the Flak Panther 20mm Flak Verling, and which is the MG 151/20. And is it? You reckon you can do two kits out of that one, or is that just two separate kits, guys?
2 in 1.
Yeah, so it looks like it just changed the.
I think it's just
change the turret.
Change the turret, yeah.
So you can have the choice of doing a 20mm one or the 37mm
Flak Verling.
Yeah. So the hull is a Panther hull, and the two turrets either come with, as I said, with a 20mm machine guns,
which looks like it belongs on a ship.
It does almost. And this kit's going to be in 1/35th scale with no interior. Now, this is completely a paper tiger, although they did do some wooden mock-ups in the late 44, I believe, into 45. So, for those of you who enjoyed building paper panzers, I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of that.
Especially Takom too.
Oh, yeah. Next off, we got an announcement in 1/72nd scale of the M1070, which is a prime mover and trailer. And also, in the same kit, you get a big D9 bulldozer. So the M1070 is the HET, which is a powerful tractor trailer with an 8x8 drive configuration. Used in service with the US Army. In fact, I saw one of these on a documentary I was watching the other day about some boat salvages, and they were using it to salvage boats.
It wouldn't surprise me. It's big enough.
Winches on the back, and they sort of go along. But that's going to make a fantastic kit in 1/72nd scale. And I've always been a big fan of the D9 Dozer done up in its military sort of style. Although the Caterpillar doesn't actually do a military version of it. Once the military gets their hands on it, they can sort of
convert it.
Now, the Israelis did one, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
It was a D9, and it was done. I'm trying to think of the modelling company that did it. I think it was in 1/35th scale. And it was all sort of rigged up with defensive armour and everything. It was designed to go in and just sort of plough the houses down where the bad guys were living.
Well, it's not just the bad guys.
Well, yeah, it depends. Depends your political point of view.
Well, yeah, it depends.
So this is the modelling show.
That whole area is very muddy politically. So we won't get into it.
We'll leave that hand grenade alone and just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But in 1/72nd scale, that should make, even in 1/72nd scale, it's going to make a huge kit because the D9 Dozer is not small in any way, shape or form.
That prime mover's a big beast.
Exactly right. It's absolutely huge. So
I believe the rear wheels will turn.
Of the
prime mover.
Yes, it's 8x8.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Absolutely. Next up, we have got some CAD designs in from our friends over in... let me quickly have a look. Kitty Hawk for the Mirage 2000. single seat and twin seat in 32nd scale. Look, Kitty Hawk gets smashed sometimes for their hit and miss approach, I guess, to building models or to manufacturing models. But you know what? I reckon if you're
well, if you build those things, they're the only game in town a lot of the time.
yeah, exactly right.
That's it.
And you should be able to be advanced enough to sort of correct.
And it's a very pretty box art with the lavender fields.
Yeah, I don't know where they'd be taking off from. So we haven't got much more news about that as such. Looks like it'll obviously come in French colours and a whole host of other countries that actually operated it as well. I've always been a big fan of the Mirage, the Mirage 3 that the Australian Air Force used to have.
The Widowmaker.
Oh, no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as the F-104. Nowhere near as bad.
No.
And this Mirage is sort of the next version of that came along.
Yeah, next generation.
Yeah. So that's looking pretty cool. So that should make a great build, actually.
Would the throttle quadrants be back to front to everyone else as usual?
Oh, Ian, you got such a wicked sense of humour.
No, it's the truth. French throttle quadrants have always been the opposite. That's why the French pilots used to crash their Spitfires and Hurricanes.
Seriously?
Yeah, because instead of beefing up the power, they'd back it all the way down.
Well, you'd think there'd be an international standard for which way your throttle quadrant's got to go, wouldn't you?
No.
Forward, more thrust.
Yeah.
Back, less thrust.
Exactly. But, hey, French like doing things differently.
There's lots of countries that like doing things differently.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got up next? Stalingrad miniatures. A set of 3 figures. These are in 1/32nd scale, and they've got 3 German soldiers posed from the Stalingrad area. They're made of resin, and you got one troop or soldier sort of laying down or sort of sitting down, another one standing with his head sort of hanging down and being supported by his comrade in arms.
2 wounded and one healthy soldier.
Yeah. So, for those of you who enjoy doing your figures, this should certainly...
Stalingrad do really nice figures anyway.
Yeah. This should really get you excited and should be able to make quite a nice little diorama.
Vignette, yeah.
Vignette, actually. What's the difference between a vignette and a diorama?
Size.
That's all?
Size and what's in it.
There you go. You learn something every day. Let's have a look and see what else we've got. Oh, in the studio, I must mention that we have got some paints from, and this has been kindly given to us by Wargame Miniatures. Brian kindly gave me a call during the week and said, I've got 2 new paint sets that I want you guys to have a look at. So this is Vallejo paints. It's in their Fantasy Pro scheme.
Range.
Thank you, range. And the first set I've got looking at is Crimson Red Set. And it comes with 8 different versions of red, Crimson Red. And it even gives you some instructions. Now, I've got the instructions floating around somewhere.
Oh, I've got them over here.
Of course you do. So it comes with instructions to actually show you how to do the highlighting the areas as well as shading and going through and actually mottling your colours so that you can bring the deepest crimson reds out. So we've got a set of crimson reds, and the other ones we got there, Ian, what are they?
Imperial Purple.
Yep.
Imperial Purple set.
And again, that comes with 8 different shades of purple. And Vallejo, of course, spray directly out of the little bottle, or they're just as good with an with a paintbrush as well, the old hairy stick. So I actually got one of these bottles out and I had a quick brush with my paint on some old cardstock I got and just went on beautifully. Laid quite well.
Yeah, I like using Vallejo.
So what we're going to do with these 2 sets of paints, we're actually going to give them away to one of our Patreon contributors. So there'll be an email coming out to one of our Patreon contributors just as this episode goes to air, which will be on Saturday.
Yep.
So have a look in your email boxes and see who the lucky winner is to get these two sets of paints. Now, Ian, what did I see you bring into the studio over there?
Yes, I have I call it a shipbuilding jig for building model ships. It's It's like your little stands you get when you buy your kits.
Yep.
Little stand you can put your ship on. Those little ones you used to get with Airfix and so forth. But this one's fully adjustable.
Oh.
So you can go it fits a nice 350 scale destroyer on there beautifully. And it's adjustable, so you can bring it all the way. You can go up to 1 to 200 scale ships. And you've got and it's designed with for the curved hull and for a squared hull.
What's it made out of again, sorry?
I think it's acrylic.
Yep.
And it's a quite an interesting little thing. Got that this week, and that's made by Laser Etch Solutions, I think, company name. I've got the card here.
And going to be on-sold through Wargame Miniatures, Brian, who actually supplied us with the paints. And Brian's website is www.wargameminiatures.com.au. So please drop by and have a look at Brian's website, and I'll put a link in the show notes as well.
And like I say, for shipbuilders, it's a great tool. And I don't think anyone's ever made one of these before.
I've seen something different for aircraft, so the aircraft sort of rest on top.
Yeah, but no one's actually made one for ships.
No.
And the ship is very stable, sits on there very stable.
I have seen one for ships, but you had to sort of clamp the keel. And on a lot of ships, you don't have keels. It was more designed for wooden ship builders.
Yep.
So I'm very excited to get my hands on one of them, actually. So have a crack at it.
Yep.
And,
like I said, they're made by Laser Etch Solutions.
Yep.
I'm completely wrapped with it. It's a great tool.
Oh, terrific. What we'll do, we'll put some photos on Facebook of that, and also some photos of the paint sets that we've just reviewed. And as I said, the paints are available through Brian, and also that
the jig
for your ships.
Yep.
Very good. Anybody else got any new stuff at all?
Not me. I mean, my head's been down, not up.
Your head's been down doing what?
Doing models.
Model building, mate. Model building.
You've got to poke
I've
your
been
head up
churning out a
above.
model every 2 weeks. Come on.
You've got to put your head above the parapet and smell the roses every now and again, Julie.
I'll leave that to other people.
Yes.
All right, we'll be back with modelling tips for this episode very shortly. Modelling tips for this episode. I've got two modelling tips. The first one is, when you're building aircraft and you've got like Mark 48 bombs, or they are underneath the aircraft, that they use in the modern era, and they've got that sort of rough sort of texture to it.
Yep.
Tipex or whiteout. So you paint it with that first, and then you spray your green on top of that, and that gives you the effect of the sort of the rough sort of texture to it.
Okay.
I thought that was an awesome little tip. So give that a try, guys, and see what you think. My second modelling tip, and Ian is going to absolutely rip through me on this one.
Oh, okay then.
Wet and dry sandpaper. Yep. I am a convert.
About time.
I finally started using, because I was working on my USS Benson, and the hull just was fighting me the whole way, and I was getting these little bits of in there, and I thought, I'm going to try some 1200 grade sandpaper, and I just dipped it in some water, and oh man, what a way to go!
That's why I've been doing it for years, Dave.
I know, I can't believe that I haven't been doing it.
Yep.
And the finish is just absolutely gorgeous. You don't get all the dust coming up. Your sandpaper lasts forever. And the finish is just absolutely magical.
Yep.
So wet and dry. So I've got a little bowl of water there. So I just dip the sandpaper into it and just sort of rub it. And I've got a cloth next to me to wipe it dry to see how I'm going. And
perfect.
Absolutely perfect.
It took you a while there.
I know. I can't believe. And it was just like one of these things where you go, oh my God, I can't. Where have you been all my life? And I'm also, as I said earlier on, I mentioned that in between my destroyer and my aircraft carrier, I'm putting together a Chinese. What would you call it?
It's a catamaran, isn't it?
Yeah, catamaran, and
missile boat.
And it's from Oranchobby, and it's made of resin. So, of course, with resin, when you're sanding it, you get the dust
Pinholes
everywhere.
And if you're not careful, if you got not very good resin, you get pinholes through everything.
Yeah, well, this Oranchobby's not too bad for that. You hardly get any pinholes at all.
Yep.
But the resin dust that comes off it,
which is not good for you.
No, and I always wear a mask, a P2 mask when I'm sanding.
That's where wet sanding comes in handy.
Exactly, yes. Down. Oh, I couldn't believe it. And so I got the sort of standing stick out, and I dipped that in water, and I'm, sanding away in the hole there, and I'm going, oh my God, I'm in love with this new way of doing things.
New way of doing it. I've been doing it for years.
So
yeah,
just
you mentioned that a few times. Have you been doing it for years?
I've been doing it for a long time.
So guys, if you got some modelling tips, drop us a line on our Facebook page on the bench, or send us an email on the bench64@gmail.com. Back very shortly. And we're back, and I thought we might just have a bit of a chat about what we actually listen to while we're doing our modelling. It's interesting, you sort of go around the web and you have a look on forums about what other people do and how they sort of get their creative juices flowing as they're building. Some people, I don't know how they can do it. They'll have an old war movie on a TV sort of.
That'd be too distracting.
I can't get how they do that.
That'd be too distracting.
No, and even just having the the voices in the background talking while you're sort of you're doing. You'd want to look up and see whereabouts in the movie they're up to, and I'd get distracted and sort of watch the movie rather than sort of concentrate.
See, I wouldn't mind that because
really?
Yeah, because I have a very short attention span, and old movies like that I can't just sit there and watch them. So I can only watch them while I do other things.
No, see, I like actually sitting back and enjoying a movie.
The pacing's too slow for me. I can't do it.
No,
they lose my interest. Like they'll start waffling on while they go somewhere, and I'm like, oh God. This again.
So a bridge too far.
Wake me up when something happens.
So if you're sitting watching a bridge too far or Apocalypse Now or something like that,
Apocalypse Now was a drag. Holy crap!
What?
Yeah.
What? What's wrong with you?
Oh come on! It took ages for them to get there.
The Redux.
Like, even if I recall from memory right now, all I remember is
Martin Sheen had a heart attack.
Martin Sheen, jumping around with a sword or something that he had when he's infiltrating that. Is it Apocalypse Now? Am I thinking of the right movie?
Apocalypse Now, and he's got that big knife. He goes up and kills the Kuntz, or whatever his name was.
Yeah. Right. I
remember that scene where he has his breakdown.
Yeah.
In the hotel room, that's actually really happened.
And he was actually drunk. Yeah,
he was doing it. Him and what was his name? Robert Duvall.
Yep.
They were on medication.
I think the entire, even the director's on medication.
Yes.
I think during the shooting of that one.
Yeah,
see, I remember
they had a massive mental breakdown, and they just filmed the whole thing.
Wow!
So it was all off the cuff.
Yeah.
I remember that scene, and the other scene is when
the tigers get back on the boat.
Never get out of the boat.
Never get out of the boat.
Yeah, something about being on the boat, and was there like a Huey?
Charlie don't surf.
Yeah.
There's a famous line. Charlie don't surf.
Yeah. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah, that
smells like.
That one.
But I mean, that's a long
victory.
movie, and that's only like 4 scenes out of the whole thing that I can recall.
Yep.
It's a good movie.
That's a lot of good war movies.
Yeah.
I know, but the older movies have very slow pacing that I just can't deal with.
So a bridge too far is too slow paced for you.
Oh yeah.
D-Day.
D-Day was a classic.
Come on.
Well, I haven't seen all of them.
D-Day was a classic.
Like a lot of these are sort of
Robert Mitchum was in that, wasn't he?
Everybody was in it. There was an all-star cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movies that,
Actually, one of the movies I enjoyed with Robert Mitchum was Enemy Below.
I haven't seen it in ages.
Yeah, that's the one where they're on a Buckley class, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was a destroyer escort.
Yeah, one I built recently.
Yeah.
And they're chasing the U-boat. That's a great movie, that.
But see, I couldn't have it on while I'm modelling.
Too distracting.
Yeah.
With me, it's music.
Well, music and podcasts for me.
No, I don't even listen to podcasts. I just listen to music.
Nah, podcasts. I listen to them all the time. Driving to work, modelling.
I'll just throw on some Motorhead. Turn the volume up so the windows are rattling. That way I can't hear if anyone's knocking on the door or ringing me, and I'll just hook right in, mate.
For me, most of the time I just have YouTube going in one way or another, be it a podcast that I found on YouTube or just someone waffling on about something or some highlight video. Actually,
I get YouTube because you don't have to sort of be looking at it. You can just be hearing what they're talking about. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, like, most videos on YouTube are like 10 minutes because that's the length of time that they need to hit their advertising quotas or whatever it is. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Plus the human attention span.
Yeah. My attention span is
3 minutes.
It's very, very short. Let me tell you.
Ads on YouTube now drive me nuts.
Oh, the ads.
Yeah. It's so distracting.
Oh, well. Yeah,
I've tried actually doing modelling without any sort of external sort of stimuli, and it doesn't work. It feels wrong. I'm sitting in there and at the end of like playing a CD or something like that, or the podcast ends, that's my cue to get up and have a break, have a bit of a stretch and a scratch, go and get a drink, come back, put the next album on of whatever I'm listening to, and just move forward.
Another thing I watch is streams. So there's a lot of people who play video games or paint figures or what have you online, and they'll do streams, and they'll stream for like maybe 8 hours, right? Because it's their job. Like for the people who are really good at it, they make enough money out of it that it's their job. And so they'll do that for 8 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever they want to do.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about turning your hobby into a job.
Yeah, I've thought about it.
No, I did it for a while. I did a lot of commission work, and it just took the fun out of it.
It's not for everyone.
But, I mean, I'm thinking back to Russ French, who's made a very successful business with these defence models.
Yep.
And we had him on the very first episode.
That's correct, yes.
And, the stuff he builds.
I suppose it just comes down to the individual.
Yeah.
To me, modelling's a hobby, and I want to keep it a hobby.
And
not to say if someone doesn't throw me enough money, I won't build something for them, but
I don't think you'd ever make enough. Well, as I said, Russell tends to make, but he aims more at the commercial market, really, doesn't he?
See, for commission work, I personally believe you never get paid enough.
No.
Because people don't want to pay you like an hourly rate.
Yeah, I'm looking at the work that Callum does. What he does, he builds Australian ships in 1/700 scale for clients, and the amount
he's
of work.
got 8 Anzacs going at the moment.
Yes.
8 Anzac class.
He's completely mad, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, also the people who make a living out of building models, they tend to do things very, very fast, very, sort of A, B, C, D, just manufacture, go through the motions kind of thing. They don't put the same amount of effort and attention that you put into your models, right?
No.
If you were to build something for someone else, you would sort of have to go, okay, I'm just going to pre-shade this plane. I'm just going to do this, and
see, my standards wouldn't allow me to do that, and that's where I'd fall down if I was trying to sort of monetize my hobby, because I'd be looking at going, nah, that's not good enough. Nah, that's not good enough. Because at the end of the day,
then again, the average Joe Blow who's going to commission you to build them something to put in their mantelpiece or in their work office, they're not going to know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
they're
right.
Not going to know.
So the way to think about it is like, say in terms of cars, right? You got to think, oh, this is an average guy. I'm building an average model for an average guy, and he's going to want the equivalent of a Toyota Camry in a model, right? Because the guy who wants you to go, 100%, everything's perfect,
he's
right?
Going to want to, he'll pay.
He'll pay the money. He'll pay the money if he wants it.
Yep.
But, he's probably got some guy who can build to that level. He's probably typed in, P51, 30-second scale, and then found the best one he can find and gone, okay, there's his email address. I'll send him an email and say I'm willing to drop, $5,000 on a model.
Well, you see guys on forums now and again advertise for commission jobs, saying, oh, can somebody build this for me?
Yep.
Paid. And I know that in the wargaming area, it's not unusual to have people who sort of do...
Oh, you do a whole army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sell them on.
That's a bit different because with wargaming, there are two types of people, roughly. Usually just these two types of people.
Two types of people. Wargamers, the mad and the insane.
No. There are people who play the game, and there are people who build the stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got people who are painters and people who are gamers. Right? So it's not often that you find someone who's interested in both aspects of this.
Oh, no.
But there are plenty of people who are like, I want a nice army, but I don't have the skills to do it.
Yes,
I'm happy
there
to
are
pay
those
someone.
Yes, agreed.
Also, painting, 100 little figures the exact same way can get pretty monotonous.
Exactly.
It's not too bad. It's when you're doing like the Napoleonics or doing an orc army or something like. Although with an orc army, you're a bit more slapdash, can't you? But,
Correct.
But doing the Napoleonics in what size of millimeters are they? They're darn small. I know that
you
much.
got 54 or something.
And then you got there are some people out there who say are very passionate about the Civil War, and they'll, the American Civil War, and they'll have their own little army, their little replication of Gettysburg or whatever it is.
Yep.
Huge in the US.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I imagine there are a
huge.
lot of people with that sort of interest, and
Yeah.
they want perfect work. They want really nice work, and they might, sort of get a bit shocked at the amount of people would ask for it. But if you're passionate enough about that hobby, and you've got, say, Civil War uniforms on your walls and guns on your racks and all that sort of stuff, then modelling is not that expensive, right?
Yeah, well, that's true.
I reckon the money's in the ships.
Yeah, it is, and
You
also
make some good money on ship models.
Well, I didn't on the last one I sold. I only sort of sold it at price that I bought.
You were silly, weren't you?
Yeah, I know. But it was for a friend at work, and she said, I need something for my husband. I said, well, I've got a ship you can have. And I sold it for the sticker price.
Oh, really?
After I built it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, then again, look, I've done not selling. I've actually down here in Melbourne. There's the what they call the Waverley Interclub, which is like an interclub competition, and each club gets usually a couple of kits.
That's going to be happening very soon.
Yeah, that's next month, I think.
Mm.
And yeah, they basically you get to build these kits, and for the past I don't know how many years I've been building the aircraft kits, and it's usually subjects I'm not that interested in. So I'll build them, and I'll just raffle them off at work.
What, yeah, a gold coin donation? Just a free raffle?
Yeah, gold coin donation, raffle off at work, and so you send it over to the other side of the country.
It's a
And
good way of getting rid of it, isn't it?
yeah.
They're also usually in fairly large scales, aren't they? I remember one time you had a 30-second scale P-51.
Yeah. That turned out quite nice. That was a fun paint job, especially doing that yellow and black checker tail. Airbrushing that. That was a fun job. That was the old Hasegawa.
Well, at least it was in 30-second scale and not 48.
Oh, yeah, 48. I'd try 48. Wouldn't bother me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It wouldn't
masking doesn't bother me.
No,
I
I'm
enjoy
the same.
masking. I enjoy especially fiddly masking.
Masking is very zen-like sort of thing to
When I was
do.
doing all my Luftwaffe aircraft, all the stub markings, like the bar that usually went across, you had your JV bands.
Okay, yeah.
Coloured bands on the rear of the fuselage, and these sometimes had like a little line that went across them.
Okay.
That's always been airbrushed by me. I don't use the kit decals for that.
Yeah, I always airbrush those as well.
Like I remember doing
Most bands. I would also...
Was it the TA 152, I think it was, the long wing span Focke-Wulf.
No, yeah.
I think it was green 4, I think I did, and they actually had the yellow and red fuselage bands.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like a yellow stub marking that went across with a black outline.
Yep.
And like that black outline was less than a millimetre. And I was so wrapped when I took the tape off and had a look at it and gone, ooh, that came up nice.
Well, you can get the tape down to sizes that are like, 0.7 millimetre, 0.2 millimetre, I think is the smallest it goes down. It goes to ultra fine.
I usually just use a standard Tamiya tape and a ruler and a sharp knife.
And then cut the tape up.
See,
I'm
in the right
lazy.
size.
I'll buy it already sort of pre-cut in the rolls.
Because you can never get the proper size you need.
See, while we're on the topic of this masking,
Yep.
this is something that's actually been on my mind recently. So, with my Pete, when they first brought the kit out, they brought it out as a late version and an early version. Right? But the kit, all the parts for both are in the kit.
Yep.
And they just did the old, on the spring maps, they just said, okay, don't use these parts.
Bits, yes.
Right? Nowadays, with the more modern boxings, they don't say it's early or late. They just give it to you a box, and then here's the markings, and you might get an early one or a late one or whatever in that particular boxing.
Right.
So, the schemes that I've been given are all, you sort of more typical sort of colours. You got the yellow leading edges, you got the green, all that sort of stuff. But I found a photo of one that's really nice. This is one in the one of the earlier boxings that was labelled an early version, and it's that grey colour, whatever it is, the one that goes a bit tea coloured when it oxidizes, all over. It's this beautiful bright one compared to all these much darker looking ones.
Interesting.
Only problem is there are no decals for it anywhere. I would have to make my own masks to do the markings on the tail, which is like ZI-53.
Oh, you could do that easily.
Well, I you know what? I've been following Troy. He handles Destroyer, and he's a Melbourne-based guy, and he got himself one of those stencil cutters, and he makes his own masks out of it.
Right.
And he swears by it. And he's got this program in his computer, so he just sizes up the decal, for want of a better word to use. The stencil programs and stencil cutter, it cuts it, and so he's got either the inverse or the outverse, which is probably the wrong words to use. And so he just puts that on his model and then sprays it on the paint on, and then just takes the mask off.
Well, I'm no stranger to using pre-done masks like the Montex masks.
Yeah,
I used that on my George very recently and came up really nice. But making your own masks is something I'm into.
Yeah, no, if your computer at home, so get the right program and then just whack it in and off you go. And it automatically sort of sizes for you as well, so you can do your scaling on there. So you just punch in, 1/48 scale or 1/32 scale, and if I built more aircraft, I reckon that's the way to go, because I detest decals on aircraft because they're, there's nothing worse. You finish a model and then you put your decal on it and just completely destroys the darn thing. So with paint, you haven't got that problem, have you?
True.
And it looks a lot more realistic. You don't have to worry about the carrier film or any of that sort of palaver.
Carrier films are easily hidden though.
Yeah, I know, but without having to go through all that, you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
If you've painted all of the markings, right? All of them, and you happen to be doing a plane that doesn't have any stenciling.
Right? Oh, you mean like when Chris Dowsett did the KI-61? Hasegawa, he built that all up with and painted all. Everything was airbrushed, except for they had these two Japanese caricatures on the tail, on the red tail.
Okay.
And they came as decals, and Murphy's Law, one of the decals marked up on it. He had to use two decals on the whole kit, and one of them marked up on the poor guy.
Oh. And the other good thing about spraying your insignia is that you can then weather it and chip it too, much easier than you would do if you were using decals.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
yep.
True. Yep.
But the other added advantage is you can add fading to your roundels and things like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing something like those Russian jets that have been languishing in some, yard for 40 years or something.
So you see it sometimes, a beautifully weathered model, and it's got these shiny, gorgeous, pristine red stars or decals on the side of the aircraft.
Well, I mean, like, especially with like some of the markings, like red will just fade all the way out to white, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's why during the Second World War, the RAAF ended up dropping the red dot. Actually, it was the opposite reason they dropped the red dot on their roundels, was because the blue and the white would fade out really quick and the red got brighter in the tropical sun.
Oh, really?
So when they were flying over the coastal defences, the people would look up and go, oh, red dot, think it was Japanese, and start shooting their own guys.
Oh, you're a font of information there, aren't you?
I read a book on the Australian Hudson Squadron.
Yeah,
they mentioned that when they were flying back from Malaya, getting shot at by the Aussie AA gunners. They're mistaken for Japanese.
Isn't that the reason why they also took the red dot out of the middle of the American markings?
Probably would be too.
Yes, right, because pre-war you used to have these beautiful The US
Red,
Navy.
white, and blue.
No, yeah, but they used to have these beautiful big yellow wings on their.
the yellow wings.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Yep.
Gorgeous looking aircraft.
Yep.
One day I'm going to have to do one of them yellow wing type things.
I've done one.
Which one did you do?
I did the old Hasegawa Boeing F4B4.
Okay.
Which has
right.
got the Felix the cat in the side.
Yep, and it was all gloss as well.
Yeah, all nice and shiny,
Looks
except
beautiful.
for the wheels.
Yeah.
Oh, the tyres, I should say. But
Yeah.
that had a complete scratch-built interior and everything. I went nuts on that.
Is there a model you ever don't go nuts on?
No. That's why it takes so long doing the kits. I go overboard.
I wouldn't, if I was going to build a yellow wing thing, I would go with Hobby Boss, I believe, has like an early Wildcat.
Yeah, I was thinking the Wheelie Wildcat.
Or
Or maybe a Brewster Buffalo. Actually, a Brewster Buffalo in the Barclay scheme would be worth looking at.
Or the torpedo aircraft. I can't think of the darn name of them now.
Devastator.
The
Devastator.
Devastators, yes.
Yeah. Especially since those wings are all
Corrugated.
Yeah, corrugated.
Yeah, it looked gorgeous in yellow with the sort of silver fuselage and I think they had like big sort of arrow stripes on them or something from memory.
Yeah, I know the top of the wings on the F4B4 had like a big chevron.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
And the one I did was black. But no, that's that's for its age. Look, it's a very old kit.
Yeah.
The old one. Look, I ended up putting a complete Vector engine set in it.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah. Those are really nice, those Vector sets.
And how do you do like the insignia on corrugated wings? How did those decals come?
I don't know. I haven't tackled that yet. I'll be having that problem later on when I finally get back into doing this Junkers because that's all corrugated.
It's not as difficult.
Lots of decal settler.
Yeah, or maybe I'll just, as Julian said, just paint the German crosses.
Yeah, but even still, you still got the same issue though because
but with masking tape, you can. You've got more time with a decal. You can be pressed with time for how long you can play around the decal before you actually destroy it by moving it around too much.
Yeah, that's a point.
Whereas with masking tape, you can peel it off if you're not happy and reapply it and then paint.
See, I've put some like instrument decals like for your cockpit of down onto some pretty bumpy looking instrument panels that are all raised and everything like that, and that worked out fine because I just literally had the decal floating above a giant pool of softer, and I just came back in like an hour later and it's all just dropped straight down.
I found the best decal setting solution, but you've got to be very careful using it, is to me an extra thin cement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But that goes off so quick.
Yeah, to me, are extra thin cement if you really want to get into those little hard edges.
So do you put the cement on underneath and then put the decal on top?
Put the decal on top. Put the decal on top and then
Yep.
put the cement on. Just brush that over the top, and that just sucks it straight down. But you got to be careful. If you use too much, it'll just start eating into the ink.
Wow. I would be game to do that.
Oh, it's the first time I did it. I was shaking, mate. I was going, I'm either going to make this look good or I'm going to completely ruin it. But no, and it worked.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I think that's a step I'll pass. I think.
Yeah, that's one of
I
those
agree.
scary tips.
Yeah, that's got to be a I have exhausted all my other options.
Yep,
and I'm prepared to trash this model or make it.
That's going to make it or break it.
Yeah.
Yep. If you get some decals that just no matter what setting solution you use, they're just not going to conform.
Oh, I had a lot of
And
trouble.
these were Hasegawa decals. You know what Hasegawa decals are like?
Yeah. Well, I've had to use the little stencils on my George.
Yep.
It seems to have gone down. I mean, I used the Guns, Mr. Softer or whatever it's called.
Yep.
And it did the trick. But I mean, I still wonder. Like, I'm not normally the kind of person to put a gloss over my decals before matting, but I did this time just because I wasn't. They're so thick that I don't want to. It's probably not going to come out too well still, But I made the attempt.
You made the attempt. That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly.
While we're talking about decals, what I absolutely detest and hate with a passion is these new Pontos rub-on transfers.
Oh, dry transfers.
Dry transfers. Oh, no.
What's wrong with them?
No.
I like dry transfers.
Do you really?
Yeah, no decal film.
What? Aren't you? But the lifting of the paint underneath it as you're rubbing it on.
No, you don't lift the paint.
Oh, I've had the experience where it lifts the paint.
Really?
Because the decal had the dry transfer had to go on to paint that was sitting on a flat sheet of brass.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
brass.
that's why the brass.
Yeah, with brass, with brass, you need to sand the brass,
done that.
undercoat it,
Done that.
etch primer.
Hey, you're looking at Mr. Undercoat over here.
And
You're the one who doesn't undercoat.
I know, but did you use etch primer?
Metal primer.
No, I just used normal Tamiya primer.
Yeah, that won't
Yeah, that's
hold
why.
it. You need etch primer. When you're painting straight onto metal, you need etch primer. Because etch primer actually bites in. It etches into the actual metal, and it leaves these tiny, look like little fish hooks, microscopic fish hooks.
So where do you get this magical etch primer from?
Any automotive store that sells.
So it's automotive etch primer.
Yeah.
Oh, there are modelling products.
Really?
Yeah, like Guns have a Mr. Metal primer.
Oh,
Comes in a little rattle can.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You can also get a brush-on version.
Oh, I love the rattle can stuff.
Mm.
My primers I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Really? So, Mr.
Mr. Metal primer. The thing
There
is,
you go.
right?
You learn
The
something
thing
every
is,
day.
it's very tacky once it's on,
Yeah.
right? You'll think, oh, gee, that's not cured yet, but no, it has. And then, so normally I just skip straight to priming it with regular, like, primer, like lacquer primer.
So you'll do your etch prime first,
Yeah.
Then you prime.
then you prime on top of that,
Yeah.
and then you
Then you
coat
paint.
the paint.
Yep.
Seriously?
Yep.
It'll be tough as anything. But I don't do it everywhere. I only do it in places where I know that metal is going to, like my hand's going to brush against it and it's going to flex a little. And then you're in danger of the paint just flaking off it because you flexed it.
So how do you go about when you've got your photo etch already set into the plastic and you do the metal primer? Does it affect the plastic at all? The styrene around it?
The etch primer.
Yeah.
I reckon there's probably a good chance it probably would, because it's pretty
see-
tough stuff.
See, a lot of my ship stuff, I'll put the well, mind you, I'm not going to do the dry transfer, but you've got to put the PE on and then onto the plastic, and you come back later and spray over with a
Or maybe etch prime it before you glue it to the plastic.
but see, then you're
like I said, this
Mm.
this Mr. Metal primer comes in a brush-on version as well. It's basically the same little jar that you're
Dude,
you-
have you seen some of the sizes of the PE I'm working on in 1/350 scale?
No, I thought you were talking about little small pieces.
Yeah, microscopic some of them sometimes.
Well, the small pieces, it's ideal to brush them on.
But
That way you only get it where you want it.
microscopic stuff, you're not going to be putting any decals on that anyway. So you won't
No.
really know it.
No.
It's only, as you said, the places where you're going to put decals or
Yeah.
dry transfers on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That's where I'd etch prime. The
I-
other stuff,
I like
tiny
to-
little porthole covers and that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that at all.
I like to etch prime with this metal primer type stuff. I like to use that on metal gun barrels, the aluminium gun barrels for tanks,
Oh, yeah.
because maybe I'm just paranoid, but I can always envision myself going oops and then dropping it and it lands on the edge of the table, and that's enough force in one place to make the paint flake off it in that one spot, and then I've got like a problem on my hands.
Just glue it to the base. That's what I do. All my armor kits, I glue them to the base. That way you can't.
No.
pick up and
I'm not
play
talking
with
about
them.
like after. It's like during
construction.
construction and
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
It's like oops, and then Murphy's law. The one thing that you're afraid of, happening.
Will
If
happen.
you allow it to happen, it will happen,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yep, totally agree.
So that's how I deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll have to revisit this subject, I think, in the future.
Yep, definitely, mate.
All right. So we're hard up against the clock at the moment, and that pretty much takes us to the end of the show.
That was quite a traveling sort of conversation.
It was a travel. We sort of
saw a lot
started off
of the
with
different-
music and what music do you listen to, and what
We-
movies do you watch, or if you have movies and.
We were strolling through the countryside on that one.
Yes, true.
Well, there's nothing like a good rambling conversation sometimes.
It is, yep.
And I'll
Totally
just think
agree,
about all those people who drive to work, or who indeed will be sitting down at their bench listening to this as they're actually working on their model. Probably
Yeah, well,
having a bit of a giggle to themselves about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, well, it's
Silly
also
Australian.
maybe not perfectly, but it's also partially a two-way conversation, because we do encourage our listeners to write in.
Absolutely.
Yep. Too true.
And you can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com or go to Facebook and just type in On The Bench and you can find us there. And looking forward to hearing from you guys. We really get a kick out of
That's good.
all the emails and the comments on Facebook and everything.
Yep.
So it's been really good. Our thanks this week go to Brian from Wargame Miniatures, www.wargameminiatures.com.au. Drop by and have a look at the stuff. As I said, I'll be sending out an email to one of our lucky Patreon contributors who will be getting these paint sets as a way of saying thank you for supporting our show. And if you indeed want to be support the show, just go along to Patreon and type in On The Bench, and you can leave a small donation there, which will go a long way in helping us keep this show running. So that's about it from me, guys. Ian.
That's it for me too.
And Julian, man of many words.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, until next fortnight, I'll see you later.